What's up, everybody? It is time for the Monster Maverick Show. It is Tuesday at what used to be 6 p.m. is now 5 p.m. where I live. So that means it's time for the Monster Maverick Show. I'm your host, Neil, and I am going to drop in the Discord saying Monster Maverick Show is live. Splinterlands.tv/watch. It's time. Get that Bruce buffer. So today is November 15th, and it's a special day. Not just because it's the middle of November, which is almost the end of the year, middle of Q4, but also because we just had a mint. We just did the Lux Vega mint, which was thrilling, really. And I don't say that facetiously, for once. But if this is your first time tuning in, I'm Neil, your host, and this is the Monster Maverick Show. It's all about Splinterlands from the earn side at Play to Earn, where we talk about the numbers of things. There's spreadsheets, there's projections, there's ROIs, all kinds of fun stuff. And we're going to do something we never do today, and that is to actually play a match on stream, which I don't do in the show at all. But I'm going to do today because of Lux Vega, and I actually want to see how it works. So I just want to go through the process, and we'll see how it turns out. And I have a couple cards on my main account, so I think they're all like level 1 Chaos Agent because I was doing some combines and stuff. How long did it last? Great question. I'm not sure exactly, but it was like 30 seconds. I came for the intro music. All right. Before we get into it, let's do the intro music, and that way Gene will be happy. So there's your theme music. It's been quite a week in the crypto world, and we'll get into the whole macro backdrop and everything at some point. I had the updated ecosystem numbers. It's rough. It's rough out there with the whole FTX collapse, Ponzi scheme that they were just stealing basically from their customers. So that's a fun one. And crypto as a whole has taken a dive since last week, and the Splinterlands market cap has gone along with it. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about Lux Vega. So this was the neutral summoner. In fact, let me bring up the promo page. Oop, not me. There we go. So this was the promo page. I guess it still is. It went on sale an hour ago and lasted, 30 seconds, something like that. And if you go to buy now, sold out. Wah, wah, wah. So the only people who are able to mint now are the people who went to Splinterfest and have not redeemed their code yet. So they get an email, there was a code, you put that in, and then it'll allow you to mint your reserved Lux Vega. But aside from that, they're all printed. So there were 1,000 total supply. And so far, how many do we have? We've got 39 gold foils and 816 regular foils. What does that add up to? 816 plus 39, so that's 855. So there's 145 remaining to be minted there. So, when there's popular mints like this, you gotta prepare. So there are people in the Discord saying, "Oh, I was in the bathroom, or if I couldn't get home, or whatever." You got to know that you have a limited window, right? In this case, it was 30 seconds. And on top of that, if you're trying to buy multiples, like I did, so I bought 2, and then I had an additional one from the Splinterfest reservation. So I had 3 total. So the 2 that I was buying, you know, in the general sale, I had 2 windows open on 2 different accounts because we know now that they are trying to rate limit accounts so that you can only buy every 3 blocks. I think it was. So that's 9 seconds. So if you hit it perfectly, you could have bought, and it lasted, if you lasted 30 seconds, and you could have bought 3. But if you had, in parallel, 5 different accounts all going at the same time, you could have gotten 5. So just be aware of these little intricacies. If you're trying to participate in these mints, the secondary market is going pretty strong so far. We got currently selling for $800 basically, and with the price of DEC being at 900 splintoshis and the vouchers were about 17 cents, the actual mint price was about $525 US dollar terms, and for gold foil it was 1700, something like that, so about 3 times what it was for the regular foil, which is to be expected because it was 3 times everything else. And currently I have mine listed for sale. Mine is the cheapest one. So if you guys really want to, if you feel like you missed out on the gold foils, there's one right there for you. It's below retail price, which was $5,000. Obviously with voucher discounts and everything, I paid less, so that would be a nice tidy little profit for myself. But if nobody buys it, then that's okay too. So die for llama. You think DEC will go way above peg like last year? No, I do not. So if DEC appreciates up to par value, which is 1,000 splintoshis, and it goes a little bit beyond that, then the SPS burn arbitrage will become profitable, and so people will burn SPS, mint DEC, sell DEC into the market, lower the price of that DEC, and then exchange it back for SPS for more than they started with. And so as long as that's profitable, people will continue to burn SPS, and that will basically what that does is, the whole design of that is to shift the volatility into the SPS price and keeping DEC fairly stable. With that said, we had a nice pump going into the mint, where DEC went up to about 900 splintoshis, and if we go over to the charts, it is now falling. So let's go look at the 1 hour chart here. So this was the mint right here, and since then down, because people are saying that, okay, well, I minted my Lux, or I didn't, whatever the case might be, and now there's no need to hold the DEC that I had before. So never, ever, ever, probably not. So then, I think we'll probably see a good bit of pressure on the price of DEC, going forward. We might go back to where we were, a few days ago, 800, 700 splintoshis, somewhere in that range. But I don't see any short-term horizon catalysts to push higher. Now, we do know that as Yaba dropped some alpha on us last week, that what Splinterlands has been doing is that the proceeds from Rooney minting that they've been buying DEC with, and so that was a good push into the marketplace. But Rooney slowed down quite a bit. So in fact, we can take a look at that here. Yes, I will touch on GLX. We'll get there, don't worry. So let's see. There's 3,015 Rooney, and from last week, that was 2840. So 175 Roonies were minted over the last week, and that's actually a lot more than I expected. I kind of expected 0. So it's good to see that there's still some demand there, and with the whole crypto market nuking, ETH has gotten cheaper, so it's a little bit cheaper to mint a Rooney now. Whatever 0.38 times 1275 is. What is that number? 0.38 times 1275. So it's about $480 to mint a Rooney right now, in US dollar terms. So that's not bad, and you can buy off the floor for 0.22. which comes out to about $275. So, considering the long-term utility of Roonies, I think that's probably a decent deal. But there's a huge opportunity cost that comes along with that, because any functionality that we get for Rooney is going to be, in 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever. What's GLX? Gene pool chlorinator was evangelizing about GLX, probably to his own detriment, but we'll get there. So before we do that, I do want to look at Lux, and we're actually gonna play a battle on stream with whatever cards I happen to have in my account, and I don't even know what that is, because I was what do you call it, combining a bunch of Chaos Legion singles for rents, and let's play a battle. Because I want to see Lux in action. I want to kind of see through the menu how it works. I'm hoping it's playable. I think it is. So Lich say I screwed up. I could have made a massive gain in DEC if I'd been there right before the mint. Yeah. I mean, if you were bought back when it was 600 and went up to 900, it's 50% gain in a couple weeks. So it was a good trade for sure. And when we have these demand events, it's fairly predictable. So all right, let's create a team. 16 mana. I got everything available, standard rule set, because I think I'm in Novice League here. I haven't played this account in a while. There she is. All right, so +1 speed, +1 armor, +1 health. Okay, so just like when you have dragons, you pick the summoner and then you pick the splinter. So I'm gonna pick. Let's pick Earth. All right, so she's got armor, she's got health, she's got speed, and I don't even know what cards I have or what abilities I have. Do you have any taunt? I don't know. I do have a taunt. All right. Oh, but I've got 16 mana. All right. Let's sort by armor then. Armor, and let's look for somebody cheap. Triceratops? Yeah, sure, why not? And do I have any repair? I do. Alright. So I got 4 mana left. Let's look at what we got. I got some sneak I could do. I got Iza. She's got scavenger. Oh, she's got scavenger level 1. I didn't even know that. I never played on this. So that's 1 attack. Do you have anybody with 2 attack? No. We've got triage on Spirit Order. That's not bad. Screw it. Let's just do Iza. And do I have any 0 mana cards? No. Alright. Let's battle. I can't even see on this. Ooh, it's loud. Alright. Let's see what we have here. Alright. Got that one. Scavenge. Got the repair. Nice. Well, my supply owner's gonna die here. Oh, there he goes. Even with the +1 speed, not doing well. I think I'm gonna lose. Because Iza's gonna hit the front line and not gonna be able to attack. Yep. Now she's taking a beating. Alright. So that's the process. You pick Lux, and then you pick your splinter, and then you do battle. And yeah, that's going to be super useful. You can basically just have Lux in your account and use that for almost everything. Oh shit. Testing. Am I back? Am I back? I had a what do you call it? OBS said there was an error encoding on the streaming, and then just crapped out. So can't see me on Twitch. So Rundown, see if you can fix that. Oh, I'm back now. Okay. So yeah, I've never seen that before, where OBS just had a random problem encoding for stream. So yeah. So anyway, the Lux, you pick, then you select your splinter, and then you go into battle. So you can have that one summoner to do pretty much everything. It's a decent summoner. You know, it's got the health, it's got the armor, it's got the speed. So they're buffs that apply to every monster, which is really nice. It's neutral, and then you can use any splinter with it. So that's really nice. The only thing you can't use with it is dragons. So you know, if you're running a lean deck, you could just run with Lux and a dragon summoner, and that'll do you. You know, it might not be optimal, might not be perfect meta for everything, but it is certainly efficient. And you know, given that, at least for the moment, prices are what they are. Let's see what the regular foil's going for. So $800. You know, if we compare that to the other summoners, and let's compare it to Chaos Legion, Legendary, and so let's do price at level. So okay. So Wrath and Yasik, if you were to buy, you know, today, that would cost you 200 and let's call it 450 combined. So that's 2 of the splinters. Then you would need, you know, 3 more to get the total 5, and so yeah, that would be maybe 2/3 the price of carrying those 5 summoners. So, you know, not bad at all. So right now, where'd she go? There she is. Lux is at $800, and so taking the place of 5 summoners, that's a solid deal. Because I mean, minimum you'll be looking at. Well, even if we include dice here, what do we get? Well, they don't have any legendary summoners. If we include Untamed, obviously the prices go way up. Mimosa's 600 at max. Lear's 620. Scarred Lava Mage is $2,000, and you know, Yodin and Biz are 2,400 and 4,600 respectively. So yeah, that's going to be a lot cheaper just to run the single Lux compared to those other 5. So, you know, it depends on where you are in your journey, right? So if you are still building your deck and you're going to that diamond and champion level, then you might want to look at Lux. And I imagine it's going to be a pretty strong rental card. I know some are already renting, but it's been an hour. It's too early to say what any kind of prices are. But you know, they'll go out into the market and we'll discover a price. And we have a season reset today, which is a good time to release a new card and work it into the meta, and we can see throughout the season how the values change with the changing demand over the course of the season. You know, we also got a couple updates today. There was some maintenance. So one of the maintenance pieces was Lux. The second was that LP rewards shifted to SPS only, and the battle rewards, you know, the proposal for hurting, 2 levels and below cards, it went into effect. So, you know, for those people who are, in silver running novice decks, in gold running bronze decks, or in diamond and champion, really the only ones that get affected is if you have really underleveled cards, where a lot of the 0 mana monsters, a lot of people keep them at level 1s, so that's going to impact your earnings a little bit. It's about 8-9% on an average lineup. So the big effects will be in silver and in gold, and we'll see how that evolves over the course of the season. And one of the ways you can do that is to look at Splex. Let's see, Splex, GG. They have a reward pool monitor, which is pretty nice, and you can kind of see how the different reward pools are being drained. Reward pool statistics. There we go. So right now, Wait for this to load. Let's see. Modern, 6,200 in bronze, 10,000 in silver, 9,500 in gold, 11,000 in diamond, and 13,000 in champion. And then in wild, 41, 86, 94, 11, and 12. So you can see that, for diamond, you're better off competing in wild, because you can get slightly larger payouts. It's not a huge difference. But for pretty much all the other ones, you're better off in modern. So I think that's a pattern that we're going to see for a long time. In that the wild cards, you have the people who have the old decks, who have the alphas, the betas, the untamed, and the orbs, and all that kind of stuff. There's people who have built their decks over years. They're all competing in wild because that's where that's where they can compete. That's where they can use their cards. Once we get lands, I think a lot of those are going to go into staking lands for whatever bonuses that we get. Hopefully it's commensurate with the actual values one way or another, whether it's collection power value or market value or whatever. Then that, I think, will free up a lot of the competition in wild, and we'll see these kind of more equal than they are right now. But I know a lot of people are in silver, a lot of people are in gold. So if you're running at 1600 rating, you're getting 0.142 SPS per win in modern and 0.034 in wild. So that's an enormous difference. That's 5 times, 4 times. And June Pool's, one of the operators of Splex, says those have already recharged quite a bit since season end. People must take the first day of season off still. It could be. There's always going to be adjustments, but at any given time, you can look at this to say, okay, where do I want to be putting forth my effort? And for the moment, and that has been the pattern. Modern is the more profitable way to go. But if you get to champion, it doesn't matter. There's so few people in champion, anyways. So but there's just relatively few of those people. Okay, so that is Lux, and I hope someone buys mine. That'd be nice. But I think it's going to be a fantastic renter for all the people who want to get these rewards and in a more efficient way. Replace all their summoners. That might put a damper on the price of summoners. But the flip side of that is that there's only 1,000. So at most 1,000 accounts can use Lux, and if you're one of them, then you'll do fine. In the lower leagues, when we have hundreds of thousands of bots renting summoners and things, obviously that demand far outstrips whatever supply we have with Lux. Oh, right. Eldon was asking last week, actually, in Discord about checking liquidity in Leo decks. And, yeah, we can do that. So, let's go to tribal decks, let's go to Beast Swap, and let's go to Leo decks. So, tribal decks, Beast Swap, Leo decks, these are all different interfaces for the same thing. They all operate on Hive Engine. So Hive Engine is a layer 2 to Hive, and that's where we do a lot of our buying and selling of tokens and liquidity pools and all that kind of stuff. So tribal decks is like Hive Engine official. That's produced by the Hive Engine team. If you have swap.hive or swap.hbd actually, and you want to withdraw that to your actual Hive account, then that's going to cost you 0.75%. So I can go into my wallet, I can click withdraw, and you can withdraw any of the wrapped coins that they have, and the most common one is going to be Hive. So I've got 133 swap.hive. I could do that, and I will receive 132.09 because it takes 0.75% out of the total in order to do that. Now, obviously, whenever you're paying fees, you want to pay less, right? So the great thing about tribal decks and doing withdrawals there is that there's no liquidity constraints because that's a 1-for-1 custody, and they're never going to run out of Hive for your swap.hive. So in into that marketplace, several competitors have come in, two of them being BSwap and LeoDex. So LeoDex, same kind of thing. You can go to your wallet and... Where's my wallet? Oh, here we go. You can hit withdraw. Now, the whole thing, so I could do that, and I'll end up with 0.25% less instead of 0.75% less. And Barabonk, I don't know. I don't hear anything on my end. So 0.25 is cheaper, right? But LeoDex is not the people who mint swap.hive. So, you have to check to make sure that they have enough Hive on the other end for your withdrawal. So you can do check liquidity, and that'll take you to the wallet page of the LeoDex service. And so I don't really care how much Leo they have because Leo stays on Hive Engine. But if I go to their Hive wallet, it says they have 43,358 Hive. So meaning that I could withdraw up to 43,000 swap.hive, and they'll have enough Hive on the other side to send to my account. 0.5 could be a lot if you're sending in great quantities. Absolutely. So, cheaper's better. So you just have to make sure that there's enough on the other end for them to fulfill your order. Because if not, then it gets stuck, and then you got to go into support, and it'll take them a week to get you your funds back. So, you always want to make sure that there's enough liquidity there in order to complete your transaction. And you never want to use the full amount because, there's always other people doing stuff, right? So this one was 7 minutes ago. Somebody took out, one Hive for whatever reason. So that's how you check the LeoDex balance. If you do it in BSwap, it's a little bit simpler. You can do convert and convert swap.hive to Hive or go the other way. So here they're telling me that available liquidity is 59,000 swap.hive and 119,000 Hive. So I could withdraw, I could convert 119,000 swap.hive into Hive, or if I want to go the other way, I could convert 59,000 Hive into swap.hive. So this is also 0.25%, so the same fees. And there's actually a couple other services that do the same thing. And Deathwing, who's a big Hive guy, he's a top 20 witness and everything, he made a portal to kind of aggregate the different secondary market withdrawal services. It doesn't always work though, so and I can't remember the URL, but you can go into the Leo Discord and ask Deathwing about that. So typically BSwap has pretty good liquidity, so that's what I usually use if I need to withdraw. But every now and then I'll use LeoDex or I'll use TravelDex if liquidity is an issue. So Jarvis saying can't wait until non-card market. So yeah, one of the upgrades that we're waiting on is a non-card market where a lot of the stuff you can do inside of Splinterlands rather than having to go to Hive Engine as a whole different application. BSwap URL is bswap.dcity.io. In fact, I'll even drop that in the chat here. So it's run by my buddy Gerber. Gerber and I are partners on xChaos. I'm not a partner in BSwap, even though I do stake some liquidity there. But it's Gerber's baby. But it works great. The one thing it does not do is that it does not do the bid-ask markets. So it only does liquidity pool swapping rather than the old version bid-ask. So if you want to do that, like if you want to buy a license on the secondary market, then you have to go through what are the other interfaces that uses the bid-ask market. But if you want to do moving stuff in and out of Splinterlands, if you want to do liquidity pools, BSwap, my personal favorite. So that's how you check liquidity to make sure that your orders will actually fill and you won't get stuck. You never want to get stuck in a bridge. That's like horrible. So we'll talk about GLX in a second. I do want to hit the spreadsheet for the ecosystem. I mean, the short version is down 10%, $19 million in total ecosystem market cap drop. And 10% is actually right in line with the rest of the crypto market, so that's not too surprising. We do have a bright spot in the promos are up 10%. That's entirely because of Lux, I think, because that's a new card on the market and a high value one, and that's doing good for that. But pretty much everything else is down. Oh, it looks like I forgot to fill in the number of Chaos Agent packs. Okay, so it might not be 10%. Let's go to the Peak Monsters, Explorer, Top Holder, Chaos Legion, Chaos Legion packs. I thought I filled that in. 2912148. 2912148. 2912148. Okay, so now we're only down 7%. All right, that's better. So, okay, I changed my tune. The Splitterlands is outperforming the overall crypto market by a few points, which is nice. But still, down significantly. And continuation of the downtrend that we've been in the macro ecosystem of crypto. So, until that turns around, I don't expect that to change too much. We have these things like Lux, which are great, but they're small, right? They're not changing the entire trajectory of the thing. If we get into the SPS burn flywheel area, then, maybe. And part of the ways to do that might be with GLX. So let's talk about GLX for a second. I ignored this entirely until Gene Pool kind of shoved my face in it, because the tokenomics are pretty different than what we saw with SPS. And I was just ignoring it. I was getting my airdrop and selling some, staking some, whatever. And then I actually did some math. I looked at the white paper, and I figured out that the lessons that have been learned from the SPS airdrop have been, I think, pretty effectively developed by the tokenomics team on Genesis League. So you can get GLX in three ways. One is you can just buy it off the market, and right now, if I go to BSwap, swap, pools, GLX. So it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can change that. All right, so in the pool, the price is 23 cents. On the bid-ask market, it is about the same. 22.9 by 23.7 there. So let's call it 23 cents right now. So you can buy some GLX. There's, $33,000 worth of liquidity in the LP, and then on the bid-ask market, there's, more. I don't know, not that much more. Let's go to the exchange. And GLX, and we look at the depth. So if you're buying, there's not a whole lot on the market. There's lots of people bidding, on down the ways. So yeah, that's method number one. Method number two, you can stake SPS and you earn a year-long airdrop. There's 100 million GLX being distributed amongst all SPS staked SPS holders, and that's daily at what is now 11 a.m. Eastern time, which I think is +5, so 4 o'clock UTC, 4 p.m. UTC, 1600. So you can get that, and that yield at the moment is about 120%. And actually, Splinter Cards updated their page nicely with all their tools. If you go to staking calculator, you could say that I have 10,000 staked SPS, and you hit that button. It says, okay, you're going to earn so and so SPS, so and so vouchers, and so GLX, and so you're making 148%, and about 28% of that is the SPS and the vouchers, and the other 120% is the GLX. So that's method number two. Method number three is you could stake GLX inside of Genesis League itself, and you'll earn also a separate 100 million GLX over the course of a year, spread throughout all stakers. So, Gene Pool was in the Mavs Discord talking about how insane the APRs and everything are. And so I finally did some math, and let me open up that spreadsheet here. Dun, dun, dun. Let's go to the sheet. So here's rough numbers on supply. We don't have actual published liquid supply. All we have is total supply cap and current staked, and so we're missing a middle number there. But we can approximate it with what we know is live in terms of the pools. So we've got pool number one being the airdrop, and this is for SPS stakeholders. Pool number two, which is online now, which is the native GLX staking rewards, and so those are both same size pools, about 274,000 a day. And so for right now, today is the 15th. We have about 7.6 million, 7.7 million GLX, produced so far. And the daily inflation is about 8%. So tomorrow there will be 8.2 million. The day after that will be 8.7 million. The day after that will be 9.3. So, even though the daily amount of increase remains the same, because it's on a larger and larger base, the percentage decreases. And and so what does that work out to, annualized? That's huge numbers, 3,000%, per year in terms of additional GLX being pushed out into the ecosystem. So if you're one of the early adopters, then a lot of that is going to go to you. And Gene Pool, I think, is number one staking whale in GLX, and so he's getting some huge number already, and everybody else is playing catch up. So what I went ahead and did was I made a calculator for myself. And I said, okay, how much is the supply? How much is staked? How much is going to, what percentage of all the GLX is staked? How much SPS is staked? How much do I have staked? What share of that am I getting? And then, on and on. So, basically, right now, I'm making, what's today? Today's the 15th. So for today, I should make about 7,000% APR. Now, obviously, that's going to drop. That's going to drop a lot. And a lot of that depends on a couple things. So one is how much of my airdrop and how much of my staking rewards am I restaking into the system. So as of yesterday, the day before, I just did 100%. I take both those sources and then just roll it into the system. And the other factor that comes in is, when do these other pools come online? Because there's going to be rewards for the liquidity pool providers. There's going to be rewards for the validators, which is the GLX node system, equivalent to what we have in Splinterlands for licenses. There's going to be a DAO payout, going out daily. There's going to be the play to earn pool, which is probably going to come sooner rather than later because of people being able to stake pre-sale packs. And then there's a large partnership category that we know nothing about, but there's a good chunk of inflation that is set aside for that, which will probably be intermittent, with different deals being, coming online at different times. So and the timelines are different. So like the SPS airdrop and the staking rewards are only going for a year, and then the other ones are going for 65 months, from whenever they go live. So I'm guesstimating that LP rewards come online at the beginning of next month on 12/1. I'm also guesstimating that the pre-sale packed staking rewards come online on 12/1, and these other guys, the validators, that'll probably be, they might do a pre-sale in January, and the DAO is probably going to be later. I'm guessing March. So those are all assumptions that will impact the amount of inflation in the system, during those dates, and what percentage of everything is any one user getting. But with those assumptions, I'm still pretty happy, because if after a year, if we go to 11/1 of 23, if my assumptions hold true, I should get, according to this, 934,000 GLX, and that's not bad, for spending $0 on it and just taking my airdrop and restaking it and rolling it aggressively. Then who knows? Just like any token, when there's a supply constraint, Price is going to be high as more supply comes online. That's going to push prices down. How low will they go? Really depends. So at the moment, we have 54% of the total supply is staked, and that's accelerated a lot. From just a couple days ago, it was 47%. And so what people are doing now is they're starting to see how the math works and saying, well, I want to get my piece of that as well. And more people are staking than just a couple days ago. And we're also seeing an increase in staked SPS. So over the past 2 days, staked SPS has gone up by 6 million. So people are eager to get in on the action, basically. And now that there's some more awareness going on, then competition is increasing, and so any individual's share of the inflation rewards is dropping on a per GLX basis. But the flip side of that is that less is coming to market and the price is staying higher for longer. So that's an interesting dynamic. I was playing around with this, and also there just been EOS that should have upped should up stake SPS a lot too. That's also true. So people opening chests and everything. I would have to work on the math of that breakdown, but even before that, like yesterday, that was still the case. We went up 4 million from the 13th to the 14th, and another 2 million from today. And this was earlier today. Not sure how many people had opened at that point, but we'll see how the numbers shake out over the next week or so, and see if this trend continues, or if people have kind of satisfied their want for those staking rewards. But 140% is pretty good, especially if you're holding SPS anyways, right? So with SPS you get all the governance power, you get whatever future airdrops there might be, and as the first airdrop that we're seeing here, this is pretty good. So I'm up to 15,000 myself, GLX, and whatever that is, 15,000 times 23 cents. And granted, I have a large SPS stake, but that's $3,500. $3,500 is pretty good, for just having the SPS I would have staked anyways, because it was already staked anyways. I have not staked any additional in order to claim that airdrop, but solid work for 2 weeks that it's been live, whatever it has been. So GLX is, I would say, attractive at these points. You just have to do your risk analysis and say, okay, if I buy, I get these crazy APRs, but I'm also in competition with everybody else. If I want to sell, then I definitely want to be selling sooner rather than later, but I'll have more later. And where does that balance come in? So like one analysis I did is said, okay, well, I have all these rewards. What would happen if I sell everything for the next 2 weeks? And where do I end up? And basically, for my particular situation, the way it worked out was I would have sold 23,000 GLX. So, and then what I would have gotten if I restake everything, well, you can see here, 12.1. I would have gotten 47,000, right? And at the time I already had like 11. So, so I could sell 23,000 and not have 47,000 or 37 additional, let's say. So is that worth it, right? So it depends, right? What it depends on is what happens to the price over those couple of weeks. If the price drops more than 50% over those 2 weeks, I'd be better off selling. If it stays above 50% over those couple of weeks, then I'm better off keeping. And I don't know what the answer is. But given what we're seeing so far and the staking percentage increasing over the last few days that I've tracked it, and I update this every day now, so I'll have better data next week. So given those behaviors, it seems like people are more interested in holding on to their GLX than they are selling, just on net, because we're over 50% staked now. So and increasing. So we could end up in a situation like we were just looking at Leo. Leo has like 70-something% staked, and then another 20-something% in liquidity pools, and very, very little actually floating on the market. So We might see a similar kind of situation here. And I have to give credit to the team behind GLX, saying that the way they design the tokenomics, it's a much slower rollout in terms of inflation than we saw with SPS. So, given that it's slower, I think we'll still see a grind downwards, but I think it's going to be much slower of a grind than what we saw with SPS. Going from like $1 to 4 cents or whatever we are at now. In fact, what are we at now? We are at 4.3 cents. I think I saw that hit 3.8 yesterday or the day before. So nice to see that bounce a bit. And yeah, so some people are predicting by the end of the year-long airdrop it's going to be down to 0. I don't think it'll be 0, but it's definitely going to be lower. But the way I look at it, it's like, okay, if it goes to 1 cent, from 23 cents down to 1 cent, that's a pretty significant drop, and then even if that's true, the numbers that I'll see is 10 grand worth of GLX. So that's still a solid win for me. It's still up 3x from where we are now. And Jarvy's point here that they're not giving out GLUSD. So, what they're doing is they're taking the SPS burn model and they're implementing that only. So, with DEC and SPS, we have this huge overhang of, several billion DEC already in the system that people are, selling back and forth and are able to use for renting and for purchasing from the game. In the GLX system, they're not printing any. The only way to get transactional GLUSD is you got to burn your GLX, and that should drive any kind of speculative demand into the GLX price. And so we got slow rollout, slow grind with higher demand than we would have otherwise. So that's all to the good. So I still think it'll be lower price in a year, but I don't think it'll be as catastrophic as a lot of people think. Gene Pool's saying SPS is giving out 34 million a month right now after the airdrop, versus even at peak inflation this year, GLX is looking at 21 million per month. And next year's inflation is 3.75. Yeah, so important to remember that the SPS staked airdrop and the staking rewards, those pools are only 12-month pools. So those are, 500 something thousand a day GLX that won't be coming to market because those pools will be done. So it's we're early on. Not all the pools are online, so there's definitely some uncertainty here. But the APRs are good, and so I'm not dropping any money into it, but I'm not selling any either, and I'm just playing the staking game. Obviously everybody has to make their own decisions. We know a Gene that has dumped a nice bag of cash into GLX, and he's definitely earning the rewards. But the question is like when to pull the trigger on sales, if ever, right? So one of the things I'm looking most forward to as a bit of a license whale in SPS is that there's going to be some kind of license or node airdrop for Splinterlands license holders. And we don't know what the ratios are going to be or anything, but it's going to be more than 0, right? So I'm pretty excited for that, and that's going to be one of those 65-month long pools. So it's a much longer trajectory. 5.5 years. 65 months is such a weird number. I don't know why Yama picked that, but with that said, that's essentially forever in crypto, right? I locked up my CRV for Curve Finance for 4 years, a while ago, and I effectively view that CRV as just gone because it's so long in crypto terms that it's hard to say anything about what the market will be like in that time. It's all experimental, not financial advice. Yes. And yeah, apparently Gene pulls up to 185,000 GLX, so over 10 times, about 13 times what I have. So it's huge numbers that he's speculating with compared to everybody else. And the last list I saw, he was the number 1 staked GLX holder, and I forget what the URL is, but you can query it on the website and figure out who's got what in terms of GLX staking. So yeah, I'm a fan. I had ignored it, and I regret it because had I been more on the ball, I would have gotten in more strongly on the first days, and because anytime there's one of these things, the early stakeholders are always going to benefit the most. So is what it is at this point. I don't know. The price has been holding up pretty well, but I'm happy with the 8 pairs that I have, and I'm happy with getting 1 million, by the end of a year, because that'll match my SPS stake in Splinterlands, and that works for me. So, not everybody you can't focus on everything all the time, right? You got to pick and choose your battles. So this one is going to be more of a passive battle for me, but obviously some people will make a go of it. Overall, though, I think the tokenomics is way better than what we saw with SPS. So I'm happy that the team is learning and developing. What remains to be seen is how popular the game will be, right? Because if the game takes off, then GLX will go to the moon. Same thing with Splinterlands. If Splinterlands takes off, SPS goes to the moon. So it's just we're in a bear market. It's hard to attract any kind of attention for anything crypto. We had the FTX blow up, which maybe I'll spend a couple minutes talking about. Let's go to the charts. Where's my BTC? The daily. So we had this happen last week, and this was basically on the back of FTX. So I'm just going to do a quick recap for anybody who doesn't know. FTX was one of the largest exchanges. I think it was like number 2 or 3, depending on which list you looked at. And so there was kind of 3 main components. So one was FTX US, which was a US-based exchange. There's FTX International, which is everything except US, and there's Alameda. Alameda was a hedge fund, essentially, that was owned and operated by the same people. So it comes out that there was some FTX has their token FTT, and price had been up, price had been down, and it looked like the price of $22 was being defended aggressively on the charts, and the people started asking, why, right? Because all the other exchange tokens have been up and down quite a bit over the last year. All the blockchain tokens like Ethereum, Polygon, BNB, all those have been up and down quite a bit over the last year. A lot of them, down significantly, 90% from the peak last November. And so, to see this line of 22, and maybe I'll be able to bring it up here. A lot of places delisted it, but maybe we'll be able to find one. Let's try this one. So if we scroll out, I can zoom out. Come on, my scroll wheel just kind of sucks sometimes. So you can see that this 22 line was being defended a lot, and turns out Binance, the largest exchange in the world, had like 500 million tokens or something like that, and CZ, who's the guy who runs Binance, was looking to sell some of their, I don't know if there's some or all of their tokens, and Caroline, who was one of the bigwigs over at FTX, said, "Oh yeah, we'll buy them for $22 if you want." And people started getting a little suspicious. Short interest started building on various futures exchanges, and eventually 22 broke. And then when it broke all the way, right? So it went down to $1 from 22, and the people started, panicking, and people started trying to withdraw funds from FTX, and they couldn't because FTX didn't have the money anymore. So now, this is all still unfolding, but what appears happened was FTX would take customer funds. They would use that to buy up their token FTT. They would use the token and the price at whatever value it was, 22 and higher, as collateral for larger loans from other financial institutions. That money would then be lent over to Alameda, and Alameda would then go do whatever stupid stuff they were doing and lose a lot of money. So basically, it was a house of cards built on nothing, and now that the FTT token is below that $22 price, then their collateral is no longer sufficient to service their loans. And so the whole thing comes crashing down. So, it's fraud combined with Ponzi-nomics in terms of what they were doing. And this is, like I said, this is all still unfolding. I've seen 5 different stories of the guy Sam Bankman-Fried trying to escape and being apprehended, or one story said he had a Ledger Nano up his butt, and another one said that he was flying to Argentina, and another one said, oh, he was caught at the Bahamas airport, and it's all just irrational kind of nonsense. People are spreading rumors as news, so we'll see how it all shakes out. But bottom line is FTX is completely insolvent, and anybody who had money there, you can pretty much assume that is 100% gone. And being the second or third largest exchange in the world, that hit the price of everything else a lot. So BTC is down along with everything else. So let's zoom back in here. So that's where this drop comes in. Even though the FTX did not actually have any BTC on the books. They literally had one coin when people had deposited like $1.6 billion worth of BTC. So it's not liquidations that are causing, it's not FTX liquidations that are causing these kind of drops, but the sentiment has changed a lot, and people were selling to get ahead of things, and that has caused other people to liquidate, and it's kind of this cascading issue. As the leverage in the system gets flushed out, and people get liquidated on their leverage positions. So, with all that said, as a crypto purist myself, crypto was invented to get away from the banking games. It was invented in 2008, and the idea was that you have perfect custody. Everybody in the entire world knows where every Bitcoin is at all times. And that is unlike the fiat system, where there's all these middlemen and games that are played with fractional reserves and fraud, essentially. I know legally it isn't, but that's because of historical curiosities and not actual logic. So, the whole idea of having a centralized exchange is not crypto at all. And like Druid's saying, don't trust any sex. CEX, a centralized exchange. And yeah, there's all kinds of shady stuff coming out about his family, and his girlfriend's father was the professor for the guy who's now head of the SEC. It's a giant mess. They're probably laundering money through Ukraine donations back to Democrats. It's wild. But if you believe in the project that is cryptocurrency, and you want to take the monetary function away from governments, then using a centralized exchange is completely antithetical to that. If you want to swap Bitcoin for Ethereum, you find somebody with Ethereum and you have Bitcoin and you do a swap. There are technologies that are coming out now. ThorSwap is one of them. That's probably the most popular one at the moment. There's a new one coming out called MorphSwap, and there's I think 1 or 2 others that are trying to build this atomic swap system. And there's old ones like Changelly, but that's not exactly decentralized. So just hold your own coins, and don't leverage your position to make gambling type gains or gambling type gains, because chances are not going to work for you. There are many uncentralized exchanges, decentralized. Yeah, I mean it's a question of in terms of true decentralized exchanges. I'm talking about atomic swaps across blockchains, and not like PancakeSwap is on Binance Smart Chain. It's a DEX, but you're only talking about things on Binance Smart Chain, and which might be wrapped versions of other things. But if you want to swap actual Bitcoin for actual Ethereum, there's relatively few choices for that. So good to see you, Bulldog. I'm actually signing off though, so I appreciate everybody being here, and we will catch you next time.